And we're back. This is everything I got for the month of October 2024. Um, as always, pretty good stack of books. Got a few extra big trades, collections as well. Just being October, but end of the year kind of stuff. Anyways, jumping right into things. Black Panther #9. So this book was on the chopping block. I've stuck with it 3 issues longer than I normally would if I was gonna, not carry on with the book, but there was the mention of the Sorcerer Supreme in the last issue, so I decided to stick with it because I really wanted to see where that was going, and I wanted to see who the Sorcerer Supreme is, and the payoff's pretty good so far. They do show the Sorcerer Supreme, so T'Challa's still fighting Khonshu, Moon Knights. That's fine. But Killmonger and Storm are chasing down leads for Vibranium, which led him to trying to find the Sorcerer Supreme. And they find a location. It's always be the last few pages of the book, of course. But the Sorcerer Supreme is actually got this creepy voice going on and is talking through people. They have them locked up. So it's then revealed that it's a woman. My guess is maybe Clea, right? That makes sense. It's female, Clea, sure. But she asked Killmonger to remove the gag on her face, the muzzle, so that she can use her real voice. So obviously she's so powerful that they have to not let her use her voice, but she can influence people. I don't know. It's kind of this creepy, spooky Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, I should say. So that's enough to keep me reading this book, honestly. The bar is kind of low for certain characters, and if you got the Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Strange in there, I'm all in. So yeah, I'll stick with this at least for a few more issues. The next checkpoint is issue 12. That's the end of the first year. Kind of ties in with the end of this year and with some of the other stuff that's happened in the Ultimate Universe. So we'll kind of see where it goes from there. All the Ultimate books are at the top of the pile. So moving on to Spider-Man issue 10. Nice little tease here of playback. Green Goblin pulling J. Jonah Jameson there. But yeah, this is actually a really fun issue. Ben and Ben and Jonah are chasing down this story. It kind of leads them. You see them being kind of cheeky old man reporters, which is pretty fun. It leads them to talking to Gwen Stacy because they know that all these companies, when Howard Stark died, Stain Stark Incorporated was kind of moved around through a bunch of shell corporations. One of them leads to Oscorp, which leads to a conversation with Gwen Stacy, who is the woman that actually funded these two to start their paper. And she's just get out of here. It's pretty fun. And then Harry shows up to talk to them. And Harry, they basically reveal that they know, they're well, it's no... there's a funny section where they made these bets where they're paying each other. They made a bet who'd be the first to show up at their office, Harry or Gwen. It's Harry. Things like that. But basically, Harry reveals he is the Green Goblin and asks him to leave his wife out of the story. And then Harry actually gives them everything they want. He gives them the full story. He gives them a little, USB drive reveals everything, reveals the maker, who the Kingpin's working for, what he controls, and he gives it to him because he says that Peter says Harry can trust these two, which is pretty cool. And then they print the story. But what I really like about this is this little, the idea that both these guys are in this paper. And throughout the story, they're the ones who are doing the reporting. Every time they talk to someone, oh, we're just following up on a story one of our writers is. So they have to make up a writer. So who do they make up? Ben Reilly. Such a nice little twist or tie-in to, Spider-Man continuity. So now Ben Reilly has written a story about Kingpin and who the Kingpin is. So yeah, super fun stuff. Next issue looks like Black Cat shows up. The real Black Cat? We'll see. But again, still one of the best Ultimate books out there for sure. My favorite right now. Ultimates #5. We get the, first appearance? Yeah, first appearance of Ultimate Hawkeye. Charlie, I can't remember their last name, but Charlie. But they find Clint Barton got the gear. He gave it up. Tony Stark literally was he walked away from it. He didn't want to be this. Someone's taken this gear and is using it to attack Roxxon and other, folks. Sends Captain America after him to go have a chat. They have the typical chat. It's funny, Tony's like, we shouldn't let this person be a hero. Get the gear from them because they're rating, the numbers basically say that they're more prone to become a villain than a hero. Kind of, again, a nice little nod to the original Hawkeye being a villain, reformed, when he joined the Avengers. Captain America and him, typical meet up, tussle, fight, talk to each other about what it means to be a hero, what they stand up for, and then Roxxon goons show up, which is kind of cool. They got kind of like not Taskmaster, Crossbones style masks, very MCU looking there, and the two of them kind of take them on, which is pretty good. And then he's like, well, not bad, Hawkeye, not bad at all. Well, and then Hawkeye's like, you gonna take it from me? And he's like, nah, let's just go head back. So it's pretty fun. Nice reveal though. We get Costas, so Sunspot. I think he's the one in charge of running Roxxon, but the Hulk basically is like, he's been watching them. He's been studying them, we learn. And he's like, you can't take them out one by one. That'll just make them rally. So he's like, I'm going to have to kill them all at once. So that's pretty cool because we've mentioned he's got these immortal weapons, I think the last issue, at least when they had the She-Hulk introduced. And again, 13 months remaining until until the city opens up and the Maker's free. So lots of cool stuff going on. And then finally for the Ultimate books, Ultimate X-Men. This book is just continuing to pick up. I say that like every month, but I'm really digging this book. Psylocke or Kanon, and her brother, they found this suitcase that had a dead body parts in it that had the mark of the Children of the Atom. So that's gone viral, and people are recognizing the mark of the Children of the Atom. It may or may not be this cult, maybe doing more. Our heroes are trying to figure it out. And it's just a little bit, teen drama, and just these kids trying to figure out who they are. We get a little preview of Cyclops using her power. They don't officially call her Cyclops, but she burns her eye patch and shoots somebody down. She may or may not have killed somebody by accident in the past. We see mutants, members of the Children of Atom ask their parents about the cult they're in. One kid goes a little crazy and burns his mother, which is kind of wild. It's all kind of leading up to... Well, I keep saying that right. It's all leading up to something, but that's like every comic book, right? It's always leading up to something. But the Children of Atom are definitely up to something. And at the end, the leader of the Children of Atom calls himself Master. He works for the Maker, and he's been told you got to get these kids in line. So he basically tells them, all this time, now that the stuff's being revealed and it's going viral, that it's time to unleash our power. So to step out from the shadows, claim the rightful place. And, someone asked him, does that mean the world is ending? Because that was kind of what they were waiting for, I guess. And he's like, yes. So that's pretty big. We'll kind of see where this goes. Again, though, I think all the Ultimate books, as I say this every month, are really good. Most of them are good. I'm still on the fence with Black Panther. I don't think it's the best. I don't think it's okay. As I mentioned, it's purely the Sorcerer Supreme stuff that's keeping me reading that book. Spider-Man, though, Ultimate X-Men, all great. I'm really digging the new Ultimate Universe. In December, there's the Ultimate Universe Year 1, which is going to kick off the next year of stories and everything like that. So there's Ultimate Wolverine coming as well. So yeah, lots of good stuff coming and going. Ultra Mega number 6, another double-sized issue. Loving the double-sized. So we learned... Our heroes are learning that there is a planet of Ultra Megas. There's a planet of Kaijus. The Ultra Megas are hungry, and they are looking to find the Kaijus. And, they're kind of like a symbiotic relationship, right? Ultra Megas can cause the Kaijus to spawn if a person has the Kaiju virus. And they need our new young Ultra Mega to train, to basically prepare for this war. So he goes into the Lost City. He triggers a bunch of people to turn to Kaijus to start fighting them. It's kind of cool. There's a lot's going on. Lots of still some mysteries. They're kind of being but put up by the villain from the first arc, who's just like, hey, the war is coming. And at the end, our Ultra Mega Kaiju from one of the planets we saw last issue has been discovered. So we'll probably see all our heroes kind of meet up. Protagonists, I guess. I shouldn't say heroes. And see where that goes. But yeah, still really digging it. I think there's maybe 2 more issues. I don't know. I don't know how many issues are left in this, but again, hoping for a big, ultra, oversized edition of this book because I'm loving all the James Heron arts, and I'm still really digging the story. Not as much fighting in this one, which is fine. You don't need big, epic battles each one. Lots of more world building, setting things up, but still really good. Loving that. Goon, this is back. I didn't think this is like every couple of months we're getting this book, but big reveals if you've been reading Goon since the start. So, Zombie Priest is out and about and trying to change how people perceive him. He's actually saying he's not a bad guy, but he's still doing bad guy stuff. Goon is having dreams of, nothing bad. He's just, having visions of like he's never done enough to save people and those he loves. Gets up hurt. So the Goon's out looking for, who this dope dealer is in the town, new drug dealer, getting run around. Zombie Priest and the dope dealer team up. She comes, the dope dealer, Mother Die. There's a sign back here. Mother D, somewhere. Dorothy dies. Comes to the Zombie Priest to make a deal. He raises the girl, the woman at the start of this that the Goon kind of had a relationship with. And again, they've been trying to find out who this Dorothy D is. And it's revealed that it's Myrna, who from old Goon stories like Chinatown and Mr. Wicker. And yeah, she kind of disappeared. I can't remember if it was hinted that she died or something. But anyways, that's, big reveal, kind of cool. Goon fights some goons. And at the end, another Mother Die shows up, or Dorothy Die, black woman. So both these women who are claiming to be Dorothy Die, both match descriptions that were given to the Goon as he's running around. So lots of stuff going on there. One more issue in this Stark story arc, and then we'll see what's next. I'm assuming with Myrna being introduced, like this isn't going to be like most Goon stories. It's not going to be like a nice clean ending. It'll be ending to this chapter and then set up the next big arc of stuff. So yeah, Goon's back, baby. Void Rivals, back again, issue 13, kicking off the second year. I recognize these as Cobra, members of Cobra, but I don't read G.I. Joe, so I didn't know. And then like in the first page, I realized they're from like Cobra Law, the snake, more reptilian members of Cobra. And she's been sent out, Pythona, has been sent out to try and trace down traces of Energon and Transformers in general. So, meanwhile, oh man, I was good at remembering some of the names of these characters, but yeah, she's going back down on the planet, not Pythona, but the female protagonist, going back down the planet with the help of Handbots and, trying to find Zerta, who we now know is a Transformer. She also realizes that she hasn't eaten in a while, and Energon is keeping her going. So obviously still continuing our, connection there. Her father goes to talk to the religious cult that she also trained with to kind of learn he's just like, I have failed and I don't know what's going on. Just kind of cool. Then Derek, our male protagonist, he returns home. He confronts his dad. His dad is like, this is over. Like, we have to stop unity. We have to stop the two sides coming. It means the end of everything. But on the other side of the planet, the religious cult is saying like, no, we want this to happen because from the end, a new beginning comes. So yeah, lots of interesting stuff going on. Interesting note in the comments here that this is like the flagship title of the Energon universe. It's the first one to come out, and it's been delayed a couple of times. Nothing by much, but like a month. So I'm not sure what that means. It hasn't really messed up anything within Transformers, which I read, but I don't read any of the G.I. Joe stuff, so I don't really know what's going on there. But excuse me, still really liking this book. It's pretty fun. Even if you don't, without all the tie-in stuff, as minor it is to G.I. Joes and Transformers, it's still a fun little mystery that I'm digging. So Space Usagi is back for another 3-issue run. This one's called White Star Rising. Nice little intro story about there's a spaceship in the first arc. It's like a giant tortoise. So they talk about there's these giant space tortoises, and no one knows too much about them or how long, but they live a long time. And when they die, people try and get the carcass to turn them into ships. We then jump to space battle. So the villains from the last one are still occupying castles and stuff. They're still trying to get all this data and information, military codes basically, to expand their power. And it's up to Usagi and his pals to try and stop it. So they need to break back into this castle, and get the codes before the bad guys do. That's pretty much the start of the story. There's some really cool, I feel like there's nice little references like Mos Eisley, Star Wars kind of stuff. Is Usagi in space? We're seeing Rogan show up, which is kind of cool. More characters from the main Usagi continuity are showing up here. And yeah, he's basically putting together a band of folks to break in this castle to steal these codes. And then there's a nice little backup story here about Akemi on a planet doing fun, silly stuff. I think these are drawn by, I have to double check the fronts. Doesn't say. Oh, Julie. Yeah, it is. That is done by his daughter, which is kind of cool. Maybe she does layouts. It looks very similar, but maybe she does layouts. He does the finishing, but it's different enough that you can tell someone else is drawing other than Stan Sakai. But again, I love me Usagi Yojimbo, so I'm always going to buy this book. The Moon is Following Us, issue 2. So we get a bit more backstory of what exactly is going on. It starts out, in the real world. This part is drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson, and everything kind of in the dream world is drawn by Riley Rossmo. I always like those kind of touches. But basically, one night, their daughter falls asleep and doesn't wake up. They take her to a bunch of specialists, and they're like, we don't really know. And then they get a note. The mother gets a note from an owl who appears at the hospital window saying, go to the roof. Husband's like, this is crazy. And literally, they're visited by a man who flies in being carried by a bunch of owls. That's in the real world. He explains to them that their daughter is basically trapped sleeping. Like her brain is continuing to produce the chemicals that'll keep her sleeping. And he can help them get her back. So he gives them some equipment. They go into the dream world and they meet all these people. And they're meeting characters from their daughter's life. Like a stuffy that she had is a person there. Toys that she's had. But they're not they don't have the memories of spending time with their daughter. It's not like, oh, I remember who your daughter was. And it's just they all live in this dream world, and within their daughter's dream world, there's these levels in different lands, and there's a war, and they need to basically win. The villains are fighting are called the Cascade, and that's basically setting it up. So it's kind of cool. They escape, they get out, and they're basically just like, well, he asks the guy, "Why are you helping us?" He's like, "I had a daughter once." So I'm sure we'll learn more about that. Daniel Warren Johnson does like to hit you in the feels, but yeah, that's basically it. So that's how they get their equipment and the knowledge to go into this dream world to try and save their daughter. So that's pretty cool. Great first issue. This is a great follow-up issue. Like first issue brings you in and you're like, I gotta read another one. This one sets up enough backstory to definitely, I was gonna keep reading this anyways, but like if you're walking the story blind, this is a perfect second issue. Like two masters of their craft showing you how it's done. So yeah, highly recommend The Moon is Following Us. I will definitely pick up an oversized edition of this when it comes out. Issue 13, Transformers. So fill-in artist Jason Howard, he's collaborated with Daniel Warren Johnson before, but we basically kind of get a bit of an origin of Starscream after he's been, got his butt kicked by Soundwave and thrown off a cliff. We kind of see his origin on Cybertron, kind of cool. He ties in with Jetfire, they were friends. It's a nice little story. You see kind of like, how the Transformers weren't always fighting. This is kind of at the beginning of the Civil War, that the planet is dying, and Jetfire signed off to go find a solution off-world because he believes the fighting's not the solution. And Starscream, who has a different name, what do they call him? Uthoro? No. I'm trying to read here. Altar. His friend, Genvo, joins up with the Decepticons early on, gets killed. There's a great shot of you see the Autobots drawn as villains. That's kind of rad. You've never really seen that before. And they kill his friends. And at the same time, he's kind of waking up on Earth, and he gets picked up by this group of guys who are run by, they pick a company called Mars, who I had to look it up. I think that ties into the G.I. Joes. The G.I. Joes and Transformers are really starting to cross over in a way. I'm not going to read the G.I. Joe's comic book, but some group, I'm going to assume are bad guys. They're taking Starscream with them, and what's really cool is at the end of this, you learn again, his name was in Starscream, and his friends, when his friend was dying, he's like, you reached out, you showed us what we could be. You reached out to the gods, out to the stars, and you screamed, and they saw us. So when Megatron shows up, he's like, join me, get revenge. And he asks him, what's your name? He's like, my name is Starscream. So yeah, like I said, little origin for Starscream in this new universe. Still liking this book. It's going great. All right, moving on. I Hate Fairyland. Happy Endgame, part 1 of 5. I don't know if this is the final arc of Fairylands. They don't mention it in the letter columns, but basically, Gert is back to normal. She saved the world. She saved Fairyland. She's now the hero. Everyone loves her. She doesn't know how to handle that. She's really just like, I don't know what this is like. This is so weird. Oh, maybe this is good. Funny enough, though, she gets confronted by someone who she orphans, and there's this funny little scene where people in the car are like, oh yeah, she did the same to me. She killed my parents in this weird and crazy way. Oh yeah, my parents were killed in this gross and disgusting way. People's like, but she saved Fairyland, and this guy's just like, I don't care. This is about me and my revenge. And she ends up killing him because, in a very Gert way, shooting a peanut inside of him. As he's casting magic, he explodes, guts everywhere. We then cut to him in Hellish, which is kind of like the underworld in Fairyland. He meets up with he sees his parents again, who Gert had killed, and they tell him he's there for the gathering. And all these people that got killed by Gert, are showing up, and they're being rallied under, last page reveal, Happy, who's a character that Gert killed in the first run of this. So she's basically building an army to take over Fairyland and kill Gertrude. So yeah, should be a fun one. I'm curious to see what other characters show up, because she has Gerted a lot of people. So this should be a fun arc. And again, I'm not sure this is the last one. If it is, that's really fine. I really like this book. It makes me laugh every single month. And if it were to like take a break until like volume 3 comes out, that's totally fine. If it's the end of Fairyland, that's fine too. If it's continuing on, even better. And then the last one, another book from Distillery. This one's just like a one-shot. It's just a collection of like short stories, obviously, but basically like all horror stuff, which is really fun. So different artists contributing, different stories. This one's really good. I would say some good standout books in here. I'm like partial to anything Becky Cloonan does, so I did think her stuff, her story, the second one, was really good. But they're all actually really good. I kind of like the kind of dark, almost gothic take of horror, not just like jump scares, spooky monsters kind of thing. Yeah, really like it. This is a one shot. They're not doing a second issue of this, so that's why I picked it up. As I mentioned, I'm going to try and probably just pick up the collections of Distillery stories, because the ones I've purchased have all been really good. So instead of getting these oversized books that I don't have a good place to store in a box somewhere, if I just get the collected version, it sits on the bookshelf, problem solved, right? So yeah, that's all the singles. Pretty good month. Not a lot of new stuff, really. Things are back, which is good. Moving on to trades. Books I got a few books in here. So first up, this is an older book. My favorite thing is Monsters by Emile Ferris. Emile, a woman, female creator. But very interesting. Like, it's kind of done. She does draw everything in like a ballpoint, but she made it look like she's drawing it on a notebook, which she might have. I gotta look that up. But yeah, it's basically like a murder mystery. And this little girl living in an apartment building who sees herself as like she draws herself. You're kind of reading her diary basically, as she's going through talking about her neighbors and these people who died and the people she knows in the building. I haven't read it yet, but it came highly, highly recommended in a couple of reviews. I'm always looking for something different, right? So yeah, I know there's a second volume of this. So yeah, looking forward to reading that. Should be pretty good. The 20th anniversary deluxe edition of We Three. 20 years old. But Grant Morrison, Frank Quitely, classic of these, animals being experimented on, turned to weapons, who free themselves from their captors and just try to live their lives as they're being chased down. Really great book. Art obviously is fantastic. I think sometimes I'm like hit or miss on Grant Morrison. I don't think I love everything he does. There's something he's done that I like really dislike, But this one, like when it came out, I was working in a comic shop. It really affected me. Like this one will hit you right in the feels. So it's actually pretty short. It's only about like 3 issues, but there's some great world building stuff in the back, you know, pencils and things like that, which are really good. There is a forward in here by James Gunn. I think that's new. I don't know if they had that last time. So I'm curious. Oh, it is new. It's from, he did it this year. So I'm curious if he mentions how this might have influenced Guardians of the Galaxy 3, because it kind of, I feel like, did it in a way. But yeah, that's just me. It is a hardcover. It's got a dust jacket. You know, usually depending on the art inside, I may or may not keep the dust jacket. Very simple Weed 3. It is nice and clean, but I love that Frank Quitely art, so I'm going to keep the dust jacket on this one. But yeah, looking forward to rereading that one again. Another volume of Den. This is volume 4. I'm not sure, again, if this is the last one. Man, I love how the hardcovers have just like the really blown up art on there. But yeah. Oh, there's some back pages in here, so maybe not. So I'm going to try and flip to the back, see if this... The end. Maybe this is the end. Huh. Cool. Either way, I'm excited to read this. Like I said, I've been starting to read this now that I have them. And yeah, really like it. It's Den. Richard Corbin. Can't recommend it enough. And then lastly, Hellboy. This is the library editions. Volume 2. I have Volume 1. I have the final volume, which is Hellboy in Hell. And these, I kind of was waiting again till like the last minute to start picking these up, because I knew they'd be in print for a while. So I didn't get them as they came out. But now this one is like low print, so I was like, I got to get this, and now I got to start collecting the other ones. So usually in my stuff, like I was getting the Hickman complete collections of the Avengers and Fantastic Four. So I just tell my shop, hey, every month send me the next volume of that. This is I did the same thing with Berserk. This is the next one. So I'm going to start getting these probably every 2 months. We'll see. But yeah, this is basically just volume 2 of the collected edition. Collects obviously the Chained Coffin, the Right-Handed Doom. What else is in this collection? Oh, it's got a bunch of short stories. Classic Pancakes, the Baba Yaga, Iron Shoes, perfect. The Wolves of St. August. Yeah, this is a good one. I love Hellboy. I've like purchased Hellboy so many times. I think I bought it as it was coming, not like from the very beginning. I wasn't old enough, I guess, maybe, but from right around the time the movie was coming, just before the first movie came on, I started reading Hellboy and I fell in love. So I've been buying everything month to month from then on. I've pretty much have bought every trade I can for Hellboy. I'm now rebuying it as this. I've bought in humble bundles, so I have everything in digital that I can just take everywhere with me month to month. Love Hellboy. Love it. Can't recommend it enough. But yeah, that's everything for October. Pretty good stack of stuff. The trades, not a lot, but all big, thick hardcovers, which is nice. Yeah, got to start sorting through some of those and catch up on reading some of that stuff. But as always, let me know what you think. Send me your jeers, send me your cheers, and I'll see you next month.